Hey, boys. So, let's talk about identity, all right, and self identity to be 100% clear. What is your identity? What do you define yourself as? For a long time, I defined myself as father, husband, dungeon master, right? Father because obvious, husband because, again, obvious. And then Dungeon Master because of Dungeons and Dragons, as nerdy as that may sound. So, what happens when something in your life changes, right? Let's say one of your identities is taken away, or you grow out of one of your identities, or you don't find it fun anymore. Now, let's take it where you were very, very proud and you identified, and it was part of your core identity that you were a husband, right? And then your wife goes away, right? What do you do? Do you wallow in the fact that you lost a piece of your core identity? Do you spiral and neglect the other things that you were identifying yourself with? Just because you're no longer a husband, does that mean you're no longer a father? No. But it is hard. It is hard to come back when one of your identities is shattered, when one of your identities no longer applies to you. And I get it, right? I think we all do. When something like that happens to a man, it is hard to recover from. It is very easy to lock yourself in the dark and throw away the key, right? You go into a spiral, other things in your life get neglected, your career suffers, your personal hygiene suffers, your personal goals get put on the back burner because you don't know what you're doing. Your purpose was taken away. If your purpose was to be the best damn husband possible, and then all of a sudden your wife leaves you, or your significant other from a long term relationship leaves you, it gets really hard, especially when that was one of the pieces of your core. So, because most people, I like to imagine, are able to commit to one person at a time. And that person becomes their life. That person becomes their purpose. That person becomes part of them. And when they leave, it's like a part of you was ripped away. Usually, let's face it, without warning. Because even if all the signs were there, not many people pick up on those. It's like single guys, right? Single guys, even when a woman is flirting with them, usually don't pick up on the signals that, hey, maybe this girl likes me, right? And that's a classic thing. That is what it is. But it's the same concept, right? So oftentimes men won't pick up on the signals, or they'll either not pick up on the signals or misinterpret the signals when someone likes them or wants them to go away, right? So, when a woman leaves you, and I'm not talking about stepping out on the relationship and, you know, cheating or committing adultery or anything like that. I mean, they simply don't want to be with you anymore and they leave, and usually they take the kids. And I am of the opinion that kids should be with their mother, right? Now, not all mothers, but in general, children should be with their mothers most of the time in the cases of separation or divorce. That doesn't mean the father never sees the children. No, he should see them just as much, or even maybe even more than most of them do, right? So And this is a hard thing to do because every time you're around your children, you're often reminded of your wife or your ex-wife or your ex-girlfriend because you made them together. So that can bring back some memories, right? That can make you feel a little bit more empty than you already did before you got to see your children and hang out with them. But that's something that you have to fight through. And the thing is, you have to re-find your identity. You have to re-find your purpose in life. And like many have already said, you have to work on yourself. So there's a reason that your wife or your girlfriend left you. Now, it is very, very easy to blame them 100%, right? It was all them. Well, if she hadn't done this, then we would still be together, right? If she had communicated any of this, we could have worked through it. And sometimes that is true. Sometimes. Other times, it's you, men, not picking up on the signals that were being loudly broadcast from her. It's easy to miss, especially when you have a career, you have children, and you have your own things going on, right? When the time apart starts getting more and more, when you're both working really hard to make ends meet, and let's say you're working opposite shifts, right? It is what it is. It happens. And a lot of the times when people work at different shifts, it's because of childcare. Because we live in a society where both people have to work. And that itself is a scam, but it's a scam that's so prevalent that it's hard to get out of, right? So there's really no way around it the way things are set up now, especially if you're in a high cost of living state. So where you need either a really, really huge single income, I'm talking like $500,000 plus a year, or you need two incomes just to pay the lights, just to pay the phone bills, the car, the house, everything else. And childcare on top of that, I'm talking daycare or babysitters, that stuff is like an extra rent that not many people can afford. And not everybody has family members around that can pick up the slack and help out. It's one of the reasons I'm a big fan of multi-generational homes. I think that thing never should have gone out of style. I think moving across the country away from your family is probably in the long run a bad idea. Because you need that social network, that safety net, especially if you want to raise children right. Now, it can be said, and statistics kind of prove this, that children in a home with both a mother and a father turn out better and more successful than in a single mother household. In fact, children coming out of a single father household tend to do better than a single mother household. I mean, that's not me talking bad about single moms, that's just a statistical fact. Right, so why do I believe that children should be with their mother? Because it's their mother. It's the person that gave birth. And again, I don't mean all single mothers. There are some single mothers out there who are just terrible, who are just awful human beings, but that's a minority. The majority of them are hardworking and want what's best for their children. And sometimes what they feel is right for their children is to get out of an unhappy marriage, because why would my children want to see me unhappy? So, is what it is. This is a rambling video. Well, that's okay, because we are what we are, and it is what it is. But here's the thing, okay? When you lose a piece of your identity, when you lose a piece of yourself, again, it is very hard to come back from that. You have to find something that fills the void, something productive that fills the void of not having that piece of identity. Again, I'm going to use the husband standpoint, right? The husband purpose. Feel free to use others. If you unfortunately had a child die, you lost that. And that is much bigger than a divorce. And here's the thing, with that scenario, you are still a father. Nothing will take that away from you. Death will not. That is dark, and that is beyond what this video is about. So, let's say you were a father, you were a husband, you are a father, and that was ripped away from you. You need to find something else to do with your time. You need to fill the void. And you have to do something productive to fill the void. Whether that's self-improvement, whether that's financial improvement, whether that's focusing on your career, or focusing on yourself and your goals. And it is always helpful to maximize your goals. Because if you don't maximize your goals, what are you living for? If you are of this thought process, create a vision board. And I know. Sounds a little cheesy, sounds a little woo. But, and I ain't getting into nothing like The Secret or projecting stuff into the universe, right? But a vision board does help because you can visualize and see your goals on a daily basis and what you're working towards. And when you get these things, you can either take them off the vision board or create a new one. It's always fun to look at an old vision board and be like, wow, I got like 90% of that. That's pretty cool. So, my foot hurts. So, it is what it is. I took 1,000 milligrams of ibuprofen, so hopefully that takes care of that. But make a vision board. Look at it every day. Another tactic is to write your goals down every day, every morning, and every night. And then have those goals taped to your bathroom mirror or on the fridge or anywhere where you're going to see it often. Because not that it makes it happen, but it reminds you and it sparks you of, that is what I'm working towards. That is what I'm doing. So, but finding your purpose, finding your identity, is finding your why. Right? And Simon Sinek has a great book, Start With Why. It is what it is. But you have to find what your why is. You have to find what your purpose is. And this is not a one-time deal, as divorce or breakups prove, right? This is an ongoing, ever-present thing. And you need to find out what it is. And you need to rediscover what it is. And sometimes you have to change what it is. I brought up the fact earlier that one of my identities was Dungeon Master. Now, I used to play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, if you couldn't tell. But I kind of fell out of the hobby because, one, I'm 43, and my group is back in Maine, and I've tried playing with other people, but I have not enjoyed the game outside of that group, which is weird to say, but really the group makes the game with that. Now, do I enjoy still reading the books and theory crafting and even going as far as making my own game set and game rules? Yes, I love doing that. Right? I love creating campaigns. I love creating adventures. All of this stuff. Do I enjoy playing it? Not without my old group. And I know we could probably play over Zoom or Skype, if Skype still exists. I don't know. But it's not the same. It's not the same as sitting on a friend's couch around a coffee table, throwing some dice and killing some monsters. It's just not the same. I am a big proponent of remote work and being able to work from wherever, right? But when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons, that is in person game, where the most fun you can have is in person. And it is much better with friends than it is with strangers. Just how it is. Now, is Dungeon Master still part of my core identity? No. Is being a husband still part of my core identity? No. Is being a father still part of my core identity? Yes. So, 2 out of 3 of my core identities going back years are gone. Right now, so that leaves fatherhood, being a dad, right? Is that enough? Can you base your entire identity on being a dad? I don't know. So you have to find other things. You have to find something that fills up the time and fills up the void so that you don't spiral and you don't become depressed and you don't wallow away in misery. So, I'm a lot of things. I'm a father. I'm a published author. I'm a podcast host. I'm a customer experience professional. I'm overweight. I'm a coffee drinker, right? None of those are really a core identity other than fatherhood. I'm a smoker. But I am a lot of things. So I have things that fill up the void. Most of the time. Some of the time, you look back, you reminisce, nostalgia, you remember the good times. And you don't really think about the bad times, or the red flags, or the times where you were like, that don't seem right. Stuff like that, right? So, you have to find out what works for you. And you can't dwell on the past. Because if you dwell on the past, you're going to fail. Because you're going to remember things through rose-colored glasses. And you're going to just pine for the past. The past is dead. The future and the present are all that matter. And the present is right now. What are you doing right now to fulfill your purpose? What are you doing right now to find your identity? Me right now, I'm making a video for YouTube. Is a YouTuber part of my core identity? No. Is sharing my thoughts and my feelings and my advice part of my core identity? Probably. I am someone who, when growing up, I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to share knowledge. I wanted to share wisdom. And while I'm not the smartest person and I'm not the wisest person, I've gone through some stuff. And I've gotten out of that stuff. I've been homeless. I'm divorced. I've been this, that, and the other. And I got out alive. So, that means if I can do it, not being the smartest person, not being the wisest person, not being the best person at all, if I can get out of it alive, so can you. That is why I'm here. I am here to share what I've learned, what worked, what didn't, and I think that's the more important part, what didn't work. And I'm sharing it with you. Now, if nobody watches these, oh well. That's fine. What are you going to do, you know? But the fact that it's out there, and my children can watch these in the future, unless YouTube shuts down or something, that is enough. That is enough. Because, boys, I'm talking to my boys right now, not the collective, my boys, my two sons. I love you, and I'm proud of you. And nothing will take that away. So, you are part of my core identity, and you are what makes me, me. So, got a little teary-eyed there, but that's okay, because I'm human, and humans are emotional creatures. And don't let anyone ever tell you otherwise. Men, women, whatever, we are emotional creatures. It is not healthy or wise to lock your emotions away. That's not saying you should be over emotional, but it is okay to feel feelings. Anybody who tells you otherwise is lying to you. And they're lying to you in a very negative, hurtful, hateful way. This is, you have to be able to feel and understand your emotions. Don't let them get the better of you, and you should practice stoicism, and you should keep a stiff upper lip. But it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel mad. It's okay to get angry. It's okay to be happy. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You should feel your emotions, but you should master your emotions. Don't lash out. Don't do stupid stuff because it makes you happy. Things that people do to make themselves happy temporarily are things like random acts of sex, right? One night stands, hookup culture, things like that. Some people don't have that opportunity, so they view porn. And porn is not good psychologically. And you should always remember that. Or, to make themselves happy, they turn to junk food. That was my biggest thing, right? Junk food. I am a emotional eater, right? Get a little sad, get a little mad, time to celebrate, let's have a pizza. I have depression meals, and they're not good. They taste good, but they're not good. Case in point, frozen waffles, toasted, maple syrup, chicken nuggets, make a sandwich. Is it delicious? Yes. Is it good for me? No. Does it make me feel good? For a few minutes. Later that night, not so much. Instead of eating a salad or eating a steak, you eat garbage. And it makes you feel okay for a little bit. It makes you feel a little happier. And that's all dopamine. So, or we have sex, we have food, some people recreational drugs, some people alcohol. I'm not a big drinker, and I haven't been since I got out of the punk scene. There was another identity that I had, right? Part of the main drunk punks. Thank God that's over. But these things are temporary. These things make you feel good for a little bit. What you have to do is find something that makes you happy. I am not even saying all the time, right? Because if you're happy all the time, there's probably something wrong with you, right? You should probably see someone or talk to someone about that. Because not everything in life is happy. Not everything in life is sad. Not everything in life should make you angry. There is a lot in life that can make you angry. There's a lot in life that can make you sad. There's a lot in life that can make you happy. But controlling your emotions is part of being a man. It's part of being an adult. It's part of being human. Again, we are emotional creatures. So, don't be afraid to feel your emotions. You should not act on your emotions. You should act on logic and on experience, and not just your experience, the experience of others, right? So read, talk, investigate. Hey, I'm going through this. Is there anything online from someone who's also gone through this? You'll probably be surprised of what you find. And that's not a bad thing. There's camaraderie on the internet, even if you don't have it in your everyday life. There is nothing wrong with talking to people online. Some of the best friends in my life I've met online, either through World of Warcraft or message boards or Facebook, anything like that. It's okay. So, going back to identity. Your identity throughout your life will change. That's okay. That's how it's supposed to be. You're not just one thing. Sometimes you're only something for a season. Sometimes one of your main driving forces in your identity stops or goes away. And that's okay. That's expected. So, my suggestion would be is to really think and really hone in on what matters to you the most. And then do everything in your power to live up to that identity. And don't be afraid to change things up. I'm not saying you should give in to chaos. I'm not saying you should do it randomly. You should do it with intention. You need to find what you want to be, how you want people to remember you. So, here's an exercise that you can do. Envision your life, all of it, all the way to the end. Are you an old man? Think about what they want, what people would say at your funeral. And I know that went dark, right? But think about all the things you want people to remember you from, right? The key to immortality, outside of a spiritual sense, is the memories you leave behind. Who do you want to speak at your funeral? What do you want them to say? And then reverse engineer that so you're working towards that, so people will say that at the end of your life. This is a hard thing to do. But set aside an hour and take your journal, because you should have a journal, and write what you want people to say at your funeral, what you want to live towards, what you want to be. And then work towards that. Reverse engineer it into chunks that you can do on a daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis. And work like hell to accomplish it. If you have to, if you're willing to, make a vision board with those things and work towards those. Put your vision board in a spot where you can see it daily. Mine is over there. So all I have to do is turn and I look at it. It's right next to a picture of my children. Where's yours? If you haven't created one yet, it's a good exercise to do. And it's pretty easy. And I know, as a man, it can feel a little bit weird doing arts and crafts, right? You don't have to do anything special. Mine is literally just a half piece of poster board, right? You know those poster boards that you can get from Walmart for like 50 cents a piece? Right there's half of one of those. And some pictures I printed out from the internet. Mine, I have a bunch about CX Riot Radio, a car that I really want, a house that I really want, um, a bank account that I really want, and some future goals. That's all. And I'm working towards those ones every day. What are you working towards? Because you got to be working towards something. If you're not, then it's going to be a hard life. If you're not working towards something, if you're not working on bettering yourself, it's going to be a hard life for you. And it's going to be a hard life for your children. And it's going to be a hard life for those around you. So, find your identity. Especially if parts of your identity have been stolen from you. Whether by yourself, by circumstances, or by someone else. Find yourself. You'll be happy that you did.